Sorry, didn't see me there, did you? Anyway, here is another Blackstone Fortress character focus video here on Bearded Brushstrokes. Today we're going to be looking at Amallyn Shadowguide. And now we're here, now I can see you and you can see me. I'm going to go put the model together. Back in a minute. Welcome back, and here we have Amallyn Shadowguide, complete and stuck together with a strengthened joint as well, which you can find out how to do in one of my other hobby tip videos. Just a quick little one there over on Patreon. Excuse me. Anyway, so let's have a look at Amallyn Shadowguide. She's an Azuyani ranger, which marks her out as a member of the mysterious Eldar race, or Eldari as they're now called. What are her stats like? Well, she's faster than a human, as you would expect. She's got a move of 3. That means that she is particularly adept at finding really cool firing positions or just getting out of the way. And of course rushing in to grab discovery markers and getting treasure as well, which is realistically what the game is all about. She has a defense dice of a d6. Now that means that she's effectively got a 5+ save. I was not expecting her to have a lot of armor, but that is not a lot of armor at all. And we'll see when we get to the data sheets how that pans out on her 40k profile as well. In terms of agility though, she's pretty much unmatched. She's got a d12 as her agility dice, which means she's got a 2/3 chance of getting a decent outcome there, and a 1/3 chance of that of being a critical success. Her vitality, I was not expecting to see this so high, but clearly being an Eldar ranger makes her a bit tougher than I was expecting, because she's using our friend a d8, which means she has a 50% chance of a positive outcome there, and a 1/4 chance of a critical outcome. Now, as we said before, vitality is used to heal from wounds using a recuperate action, and therefore being able to do that fairly reliably is pretty good. Moving down to the weapon actions, if there's one item which is signature to an Eldar ranger, it's got to be that long rifle, and this is gorgeously on the model there. I've never seen one with quite so much detail. I'm hoping that when we get, if you're listening, Games Workshop plastic rangers, then they will all have guns as detailed as this. She can fire it with a 1+ action or a 4+ action, which means she can always fire it, which is particularly good when she fires it on 4+. So let's have a look at that. The range on it, I don't know if you've ever tried firing a sniper rifle in real life or on a first-person shooter game. They're not close-up weapons, so it makes sense that she can't fire it at somebody standing in the square next to her. You know, it's too long, it's too unwieldy. She's got to look down the scope. It's not that kind of weapon. We're not talking about shotgun. It's kind of the opposite of a shotgun. However, when we get to 2 to 3 hex range, we're firing with a d8, which gives it a 50-50 chance of hitting, as we've said there, and a 1/4 chance of getting a critical. Now, critical hits are particularly useful to somebody firing with a sniper rifle, because if you're firing at somebody in cover, that critical hit gets downgraded to a standard hit, and a standard hit gets downgraded to a failure. So quite useful to be able to get criticals, and that's where the 4+ as in range action comes in, because she's using a d12. Okay, so she's hitting 2/3 of the time, and 1/3 of the time, that's 33%, is going to be a critical. Now, where it gets really interesting is the bit that a lot of people miss. The importance of that 4+ action rather than the 1+ is that it combines re-rolling to hit with aiming. Now, aiming is an action that normally takes an action of its own. So you would aim and you would shoot. Okay, that's 2 actions to be able to ignore cover. Amallyn on a 4+ can do both of those at the same time and re-roll to hit. So she's got a really decent chance of actually getting off a decent hit and actually killing something. And it's quite fun to do from the opposite side of the board. You just line up, fire down the scope, and just know that you're going to kill something dead out. Because of course the critical hits do 3 damage, and most things in the game so far that we've faced have 2 wounds. She's also quite astoundingly pretty good and vicious in close combat, because she's got a 2d8 attack, as you can see there, and that means that she is rolling 2d8s and picking the highest result when in combat, which is pretty decent. And as we move down to the unique actions, okay, she's got that Amallyn cloak. Now I'm going to summarise what it says there. It's on a 4+, and what it does is, as long as she's not adjacent to another model, to a hostile, and hasn't moved, then she's got a D12 as her defense dice instead. Now, hands up, I completely forget to do this every time I use her, so I need to get better at that. But I genuinely think that some of that is down to the block of text that we've got there to tell us that basically if she chooses to, she can have a D12 as long as she's not touched by a hostile or moving around. So I don't know how else you'd word it, but as I say, quite a large block of text there for no really good reason I can see. And the 6+ action is using that fantastic phase gem that's actually hanging from her belt that allows you to move through stuff effectively. You can't stop on what would normally be an impassable hex, but you can move straight through them, and that gives you some really nice manoeuvrability advantages. Amallyn is one of several adventurers who have an item that she's looking for to become inspired, and this is the Remnants of the Fall. Now, it's fairly easy to find if you do a lot of searching, if you burn a lot of inspiration points to search. Again, when we do the how to play, we'll show you how to do inspiration points. You can also use other characters' abilities to find that for you as well. Again, when we get to the ships, we'll see that certain characters have advantages when finding specific pieces of archaeotech. And once she becomes inspired, oh boy. Anyway, let's have a look at the back of the card with that inspiration on. Just turning it around. Here we are. Okay. So the first thing we notice here is her defense and agility and vitality are the same. And I say it's the first thing we notice because it's not the first thing on the card, but that's the first thing I've been looking at when I look at inspiration. What I completely missed is her move has gone up by 1. So she can almost certainly always be 4 tiles away from a given hostile, and therefore firing at maximum strength with the sniper rifle, which is brilliant. That movement is bananas. Moving further down, then we have the weapon actions. Okay, so the weapon actions, still the same actions, still the same rolls required to use them. 1+ or 4+ for the long rifle, and a 1+ for the power blade. But oh boy, that long rifle suddenly needs a D12 to hit at 2 to 3 range, which has gone up, and at 4+ you're firing 2 50-50 shots with the D8 and re-rolling misses. That is absolutely incredible. That's if you use the 4+ action. She's now even better with the power blade because she's now rolling 2 D12s to do the damage rather than 2 D8s. Brilliant, just all round almost an absolute increase in abilities. Moving down, the Amallyn cloak takes far less to use. far less, but does the same thing. And the same with the phase crystal. It goes from being a 6+ to a 4+, and therefore much easier to use. Again, very good at getting her out of trouble pretty quickly there. Okay, so that was Amallyn, both inspired and uninspired. I know which one I prefer, and the great thing is that once you get the remnants at the full, and as long as you don't lose that item, you are permanently inspired, which is just bad news bears for pretty much every hostile on the board. Moving on to the 40k profile then, and once again you have to reach for our wonderful Blackstone Fortress data sheets book, which comes in the Blackstone Fortress box. I don't know if they'll ever release this information separately. I know that there have been kill team rules written for all of these characters, so check those out. My favourite is UR25, where he isn't affected by canticles of the machine because he's not actually a robot. Some of the lore and the depth that's gone into some of these rules is absolutely fantastic. So thumbs up, Games Workshop. I almost forgive you for the spindly pieces of plastic breaking under my my unwieldy thumbs when I was putting models together. So Amallyn Shadowguide Asuryani Ranger in 40k, which is an elite choice. Now immediately, as an Eldar player, that raises red flags for me because the Eldar Codex is full of elite choices. We have a lot of choice with the aspect warriors and things like that, so she's got to make herself pretty damn useful to be picked, or to be playing in some really nice. You could do some really nice narrative play actually with Amallyn. She's out looking for a way to fix the Beltane craft world, and yeah, I could think of a few ways of using that in some narrative scenarios where she's running around on Crone worlds, in the Eye of Terror, Cicatrix Maledictum as it's called now, looking for Eldar relics and things like that. So okay, maybe she's not for matched play. She's got power 3, which makes her, I think, about average for the characters overall, but certainly stronger than the previous ones we've looked at, or more expensive. And I think part of the reason for that is her stats. She has a movement of 7, which again, taking advantage of that lithe Eldar, the reflexes and the swiftness of the Eldar there. She's hitting on 3s in close combat, which is not bad, and 2s when shooting. That's particularly useful, as we'll see in a minute, because she's wielding a heavy weapon. Now she's also got strength and toughness 3, which is standard across the board for Eldar. She's got 3 wounds and 2 attacks, so not quite as vicious in close combat. Just as we've seen with Locarno, she's not as much of a combat beast as she could be, and certainly is in Blackstone Fortress. But that's a much more up close and personal game. So say 3 wounds, so fairly tough. Leadership of 7, and as I predicted, a 5+ armor save. Looking a bit further down, the Ranger long rifle. Now, the Ranger long rifle has a couple of interesting things about it. It's only range 36. They flirted, Games Workshop, with making this range 48, range 36 over the years, and they finally settled on 36, which I think is nice because it makes it different from something like a las cannon or something like that. And there's been a big push this edition to make all the weapons really unique. It's got a heavy one, and the reason I say that her ballistic skill is important is that even if she moves with a heavy weapon, she's firing at -1, which means that she can fire and move and still hit on 3+. It's got a strength of 4, which means you're wounding Space Marines, for example, on a 4+, and damage of 1, no AP, except if you roll a d6, which a d6 roll of a 6+ to wound. Remember, I said you can occasionally hit a weak spot with this weapon. It goes straight through the armor and causes mortal wounds instead of normal wounds, which means that you're ignoring the armor save there. That's absolutely fantastic. Only 1 damage, but then it's a sniper rifle. It's meant for picking off individual models. She's also carrying that power blade, which is she's a strength as user, so Wounding Space Marines on a 5+, but it's got -2 AP, which is quite tasty. And then finally, her Plasma Grenade, which you can chuck at somebody in if they're getting too close and if there's lots of them. It's got a range of 6+, grenade D6, so fairly unreliable, but you're going to hit about 3 or 4 people every time. -1 AP, and it does 1 damage. Okay, so her abilities, she has the Ancient Doom rule, which is from the Eldar Codex there. If she charges or is charged by a Slanesh unit, then she rerolls failed hits due to sort of desperation really there and fury at Slanesh, and also suffers a -1 to morale when she's within 3 inches of any Slanesh units, because she's also deathly terrified of them. She has the Battle Focus rule. When she moves or advances in her movement phase, weapons, excluding heavy weapons, are used as if she'd remained stationary. Now, she's got that rule because she's an Eldar. Beyond that, there's actually no point to it, because she's only got really a heavy weapon for her to fire. The Phase Crystal on top of her 5+ save gives her a 4+ invul. And appear unbidden. She can set up, she just sort of walk onto the board during the first battle round, but before the first turn begins. She emerges from the webway, and you can set her up anywhere up to 9 and no closer than 9 inches to an enemy model. Now you've got to be careful with that. You don't want to get her within I want to put up 12 inches of an enemy model, because I wouldn't want it charged in the first turn in case I don't get it. But it allows you some real flexibility to place her, and I believe that is exactly the same rule as the Rangers have in the Codex. She's got Cameline Cloak, and that means that you get a -1 to hit when shooting at her. In addition, she receives, when she's in cover, she gets +2 to her saving throws rather than +1. So she's in a building, and she goes from having a 5+ save to having a 4+ save, and actually no, a 3+ save, and you're at -1 to hit her because she's very good at hiding, which is pretty good. And just to finish off then, points cost in the front of the book there, and again I don't see this changing because she's not a massively game breaking character. Her points cost is 50 points. Okay. Anyway, so that's that for this week's video. As I say, check out Patreon for the top tip videos. For only a really quick one. The links to all the social media are in the bottom there. The Teespring campaign is still up and running, and you can get t-shirts, mugs, tote bags, hoodies, etc. With the Bearded Brushstrokes logo. As I say, check out the links in the description. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Be kind to yourselves and each other. One last little thing, actually. These ears were loaned to me by a man known to myself, and hopefully after this one to several others, as the Masked Maker. Now, what I'm going to say to the Masked Maker is, considering you've said to me that you want to, for years you've wanted to make videos on YouTube, and here I am doing it, and you've loaned me your ears, so part of you has been on the YouTube there, Masked Maker. I'm calling you out. I need you to start making videos. Stop thinking about it and start doing. #do the thing. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.